In this video, we will examine structures of the spinal cord. Starting with the regions of the spinal cord, this jellyfish-looking structure here is my brief sketch of the spinal cord. So if you want to draw something similar, I think this is a good way to remember some important features from this big picture of the spinal cord. So up top we have the pons and the medulla oblongata. So the pons is in blue. This is a structure of the brain that we'll talk about in our lab on Friday. Same with medulla oblongata. So they are just, they're drawn here because they do attach to our spinal cord, but these are kind of at the level of the brain. Everything else we see, the yellow part here, is going to be spinal cord. So there are two enlargements of the spinal cord. We have a cervical enlargement, and then we're also going to have a lumbar enlargement. And anytime we have an enlargement like this, all that means is we have a plexus of nerves. So if you think about entryways and exitways to a highway, there are certain places where we get like this big spaghetti cluster of entrances and exits, and that's all that's happening at this level of the plexus. So we have a cervical plexus, we also have a brachial plexus, and we have a lumbosacral plexus, none of which you have to know, thankfully. But if we want the full context here, all along the spinal cord, we're going to have spinal nerves branching off. So really, a more realistic sketch would include those spinal nerves. We'll have higher numbers at the level of these plexuses. So this is where we've got those busy intersections and we create those enlargements. Last thing we have that is of note is going to be the terminal portion of the spinal cord, which is called our filum terminale. Terminal filament. And this guy is really fun. You can see this on a real cadaver. It is a connective tissue continuation of the spinal cord. And also at this level, we would have the cauda equina, the horse's tail. So let's draw that in green here. Oh, that's not green. There we go. So cauda equina is kind of a higher concentration of nerves, creating that horsetail appearance. So it's really just a continuation of the spinal cord into the lumbar and the sacral regions, whereas that filum terminale is actually a continuation of a connective tissue membrane that we'll talk about in just a second. So we have the meninges of the CNS. These, to review, the CNS is going to be brain and spinal cord. So the meninges are going to coat our brain, and they're going to continue down into the spinal cord to coat those structures. So we have three meninges. The outermost layer is going to be our dura mater. So let's come up here and write those down. Dura means tough. Think durable. It's tough. It's long lasting. So this is going to be that tough, fibrous outer coating. And the dura mater is significant because not only does it coat the brain and the spinal cord, but the continuation of the dura mater is what is going to form the epineurium surrounding all of our nerves in the body. So this is not just something we should associate with the central nervous system. The continuation of the dura mater is going to form that epineurium. The middle layer is called the arachnoid mater. Arachnoid refers to the appearance. So this layer looks cobwebby or spiderwebby. And we'll see that on this model here. So dura mater is going to be our outermost layer. I'll try to outline it in green here. So this guy, the light colored layer, that is going to be our dura mater. Arachnoid mater, if we look closer here, we've got these kind of cobwebby strands. These are part of that arachnoid mater. Okay, so we're going to have them all around our spinal cord and our brain. And then our layer 3, the innermost layer, is going to be the pia mater. Now I don't have a great memory device for this one, but pia means soft. So this is going to be that deeper layer. It's really soft, and it basically just coats the spinal cord and the brain like saran wrap, like plastic wrap. So because of that, we can't see it very well on our models. We would have to zoom in really closely to see that there's this really thin layer coating the spinal cord, and that's going to be our pia mater. So if we compare that to our model, this is what you will be tested on a lab exam. We do see the pia mater, we do not see the pia mater. We can have a really nice view, however, of our dura mater, less so the arachnoid mater. So the easiest way to actually identify these is you want to find this layer of fat around our spinal cord cross section. So this is fat here with some blood vessels running through it. This is another fatty region, kind of coating the anterior and posterior spinal cord. So this layer is called the epidural space. It sits above the dura mater, and it's usually filled with fat. So if you ever have an epidural injection, it's going to go into this epidural space. And you definitely want to know that one for the lab exam. It is testable on our model. I could put an arrow on this fat here. It's not pointing to a layer, it's pointing to the space. In this case, the epidural space. So we can use that to find our dura mater. The dura mater is going to be that next deepest layer. So this in gray, and we can see it's going all the way around the spinal cord, and it's also continuing with the spinal nerve. So it's going to be that continuous structure, dura mater, blending into our epineurium. So those are the main ones to know here. For being really technical, we can see the pia mater. That's going to be this thin white layer around the spinal cord. But if I put an arrow on that, it would be hard to tell if I'm asking you guys about the spinal cord versus the pia mater. So don't worry about that one on a model.